We'd like to welcome you to the resurgence, if I may say so, of this segment of Autofocus called Q&A. We're doing this, we are reviving this segment for a very special purpose, which you will know later on. But first, let me introduce to you the distinguished members of our panel this evening. On my left, we have Mr. Dante Santos. He is the first Vice President and Corporate Secretary of Mitsubishi Motors Philippines Corporation, and currently also the Vice President of Campi, aside from being the President of the TMA, or the Truck Manufacturers Association. Dante, welcome to our show.
Hey, thank you for inviting us, Butch, and good evening to everyone out there.
Our pleasure, sir. And on my right, we have the first Vice President of Toyota Motor Philippines for Corporate Affairs, and also the President of Campi. Campi meaning the Chamber of Automobile Manufacturers in the Philippines, attorney Rommel Gutierrez.
Thank you, Butch, for having us here.
Thank you. Thank you for making time. Actually, it's really, as I was saying earlier, we are reviving this. It's not really dead. We just stopped for a while. We're reviving this segment because of a very important event that I'd like to talk about with our gentlemen here. It's the Philippine International Motor Show. Who's first to come up with the details? Dante, maybe?
The sixth PIMS, or the sixth Philippine International Motor Show, normally it runs every 2 years, no? And it's participated in by all of our member companies. No? Right now, everybody is getting towards introducing the latest in technology by doing our display of all the best vehicles around. And we are enjoining everyone to participate, visit it. We are expecting the general public to come, the stakeholders of the industry, and all people interested in automotive. We welcome everyone.
I heard somebody say that this year's staging of the Campi is something wherein you don't only get to see a lot of things, you can also do a lot of things. Rommel, maybe you can go through the details of what they can see when, in this 5-day affair.
Thank you, Butch. Actually, this is the largest Philippine International Motor Show, sponsored or organized by Campi, participated in by 17 internationally known brands. So we expect a lot of displays of cars, the latest technology. We have the hybrid vehicles, electric vehicles, and even concept cars. So, of course, that's the motor show itself. But this event is not just for car lovers, but also for the family, because we have other activities that can be that are available during the motor show itself. Yeah.
Now, let me go into something that's been asked before. Of course, Campi means Chamber of Automobile Manufacturers in the Philippines. But then, if you take a look at the distinguished list of distinguished members, it's not all manufacturers. They're just importers and distributors. Can you explain this, Dante?
The subject of being a member of Campi is not only, right now, no, accepting realities, not only focusing on those who manufacture, but also those who bring in. And these are normally the substantial companies who are in our roster of membership. Now, of course, we categorize them as regular member, associate member, with different obligations and rights as members of Campi. But we do address the concerns of each and every one of them, which we believe is very common.
Are you saying that any company engaged in the business of distributing or selling automobiles can be a member?
If they have a brand behind them.
I see.
Okay, so it must be supported by an international brand. They must be members recognized by the government or registered with the government under the motor vehicle development programs. If they qualify under those merits, we will be able to accept them.
Now, you see, Campi has been projected as one of the main factors in seeing this phenomenal growth in the auto industry. Maybe you can explain to our viewers exactly what the role was of Campi in coming up with this growth.
Okay, but first let me add to what Dante said about Campi. The membership of Campi has evolved over the years. Initially it was really composed of manufacturers, but you see the state of the auto industry right now. There were many players since then coming in. So now we have the purely importers mixed with manufacturers. That's why Campi, as an association, we are the voice of the industry, and in reality, really, we represent not only the manufacturers but also those that purely imports.
Great. So, what
Yes.
major role did Campi play in coming up with this growth, phenomenal growth that some people?
Well, as an association, Campi is the umbrella organization that gets as much as possible the common interests of the industry players, and we are the one coordinating with the government, not only domestically but internationally. So we can say that we are the voice of the industry, and basically we are the ones suggesting or coming up with rules and regulations. We propose to the government, we discuss any issues related to the industry, and taking as much as possible the interests of the common players.
Having said that, having laid out the real role of Campi, which is to protect the interests of the industry and its members, can you cite some measures that were on the drawing board of the government, which you were able to, shall we say, convince the government not to go ahead with in the past, which you felt would be injurious to the industry?
Not exactly not to go ahead. The government is expecting our inputs on any regulations that are being developed. So in effect, we have these multi-layered committees siphoning off the ideas from all the member companies in response to any regulations the government would like to discuss. No? Of course, time and again, we have always said that we are a major party in the development of the Clean Air Act. Then any safety and homologation laws, we were there. Seatbelts law, standards among ASEAN countries, Campi was in the forefront of utilizing our technical expertise in order to advise government on how to interact with the ASEAN Forum and the international bodies.
I think I could cite a very concrete example. The EO 156. This is the prohibition of importation of used vehicles.
Okay.
Campi was very instrumental in the passage of this EO. We have vehicles, used vehicles, or even vehicles converted and then introduced in the domestic market. So even the government was very supportive in prohibiting the importation of these used vehicles. Yes.
Can all of us rightfully say that there are no more used vehicles that are being imported to the Philippines?
As a matter of national context, there's supposed to be none. And our reports indicate it has really gone down so much. But every now and then we hear something, but we really could not validate it so much because the size of those things are quite very minimal already compared to before when it's so flagrant.
Now, let me ask something about the role of Campi to protect the interests of all its members. There was something I discovered. I'm sure you know about the People's Choice Awards. It is the yearly recognition of the most popular vehicles in the country. Now, going through this, part of the exercise is for us to take a look at the sales of all automotive companies in the Philippines. In doing so, we found out that there are some vehicles being imported or registered in the Philippines that were not sold through the authorized dealers. And I think at this point, some of those companies involved just couldn't do anything about it. Now, how can Campi step in and help these members? I don't know if they've filed any formal complaints or this was just spoken during cocktails and all that. But we know for a fact there are cars being registered that are not or that were not imported through the authorized importers.
I think you're referring to parallel imports. Yeah. They're not actually prohibited. So anybody can import brand new vehicles. Yeah. So we cannot stop that. Of course, it's more convenient and practical to source it through the authorized distributors. Yeah. So it's really a buyer's beware thing, you know. But of course, we cannot stop that. Yes.
Okay. That being said, let's go into something which is very, very current. Some issues that involve the auto industry. First and foremost, there are measures that are being thought of, even being introduced as legislation. For example, this no garage, no car law. In other words, if you don't have a garage to prove, you cannot register your vehicle. Do you think this would hurt the auto industry?
It is incumbent upon Campi to support any new idea coming from the current government. And we really see some recommendations that are very appropriate. On the issue of no vehicle for no garage, that has to be discussed more thoroughly because the issue of parking is not national. It's only applicable, or it's only happening in certain areas like Metro Manila, not even in the entire Metro Manila, but in certain areas in Metro Manila. So it has to be assessed like that, no, on a national scale. It's very difficult to create a national law that is not really implementable on a high proportion of the entire Philippines. No? So let's just, I think we should first look into assessing completely how best to apply that kind of ruling.
Okay, attorney. There are some measures also that are being thought of to help reduce
Yes.
traffic in the metropolis by reducing the number of vehicles, and this is the suggestion that we follow what's being done in Singapore, meaning you are taxed higher on your second car, third car, and so forth and so on. As a matter of fact, I understand in Singapore, even if you are willing to pay for the extra tax for a second car, you still have to go through a lottery or something. In other words, the objective is to, I don't want to say block, but reduce sales. Are you in favor of this?
You know, the conditions in other countries may not be applicable here, may not be the same as here. But let me point out generally, our position is that regulation should be geared towards the management of traffic, not on the sale of motor vehicles, you know, because automobiles represent freedom and economic growth. You know, it's really market driven. You know, since 5 years, the growth of the auto industry has been really double digits, and actually our role is just to supply the demand, and the demand has really been increasing, and it will continue to increase in the coming years. So sad to say, or we cannot stop. We cannot stop that. You know, our economy is strong. It's really an indication of where our economy is. You know. So again, regulations should be geared towards how to address traffic, how to manage traffic. In fact, there were already many studies, suggestions, that they don't have to think of new regulations anymore. Just implement whatever it is, whatever we have right now. I think we should focus more on that before coming up with new regulations that, you know, we have problems in implementation. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Campi. What you've been saying about Campi is really impressive, how you try to coordinate with the government and all that for the sake of your members and for the sake of the auto industry. How do you do that, despite the fact that in all your executive meetings you play golf?
Campi is not only an association focusing on selling vehicles. We have what we call after sales. We have what we call government activities that we need to partake in. And other than that, we have created committees that will cover the whole spectrum of the industry requirement. So even spare parts is there. So we even talk about anti-smuggling moves. to protect the interests of the consumer. We talk about professionalizing our service, where you get the same service you get in Metro Manila in a dealer as far as Zamboanga. Equal level of equipment, equal level of talent. This is the objective of Campi, to make sure the consumer is not only entertained when he wants to buy a vehicle, but also after he bought the vehicle. It's a whole spectrum of activities that we are able to address as Campi.
Okay, my next question, I hope will not be interpreted by some as with self-interest, because I'm involved here. You are undoubtedly major stakeholders as far as road safety is concerned. And some people are saying that maybe your main concern is just to sell cars, no? Which I know it's not. Maybe you can talk about it. You're also involved in the promotion of road safety. Again, I'm saying this not for my own interest, but maybe it's about time that people should know that Campi is also involved in the promotion of road safety.
Individual companies have their own corporate social responsibility. Well, I can speak of Toyota. Toyota, in fact, has its own foundation, which is the social and humanitarian arm of Toyota. So we don't just sell cars. In fact, we even come up with a separate entity to really look after the giving back to society of what we have. So the foundation is one of which is actually road traffic safety programs, even environment, education, road safety, and other activities. No, so we don't just sell cars. We make sure that we give something. We do our part, even at addressing traffic management, and of course, road safety is our priority also.
I was actually trying to lead into your big involvement in this road safety school tour that we are promoting. I'm talking about Campi.
Yes. Well, that is in line with individual members' trust. Campi decides as a group, so we decided to sponsor or partner with the Young Street Smart, so YSS. So I think it's a good start, for Campi to really focus on something that is related to road traffic safety.
Well, Dante Rommel has spoken something about CSR of Toyota. You're here, so I might as well give you the opportunity to talk about the CSR projects of Mitsubishi.
CSR to us is embedded in the company's culture. We have been doing this since we started operating in this country. And the way to do CSR is varied depending on the perception or the thinking that we have prevailing at that point in time. Right now, we support so many CSR activities. We assisted schools before in our former location, now in Santa Rosa. We have supported many programs which we see as quite helpful to the community. So it's not simply a matter of giving out money or those things. It's a whole process to us. So a CSR support now lasts forever, as long as we see the viability of supporting that enterprise, that activity, that concept of project. Now, you mentioned about YSS. We truly support it. We have been always looking for the right vehicle to be able to impart such CSR concept to the young people. In the past, we have supported many schools. We have created our training centers, or we're constructing a training center right now. No? So we need really a good vehicle to launch all of these support programs for the general public, especially the young people. And we see it in the YSS. That's why it's very easy and palatable to us to simply merge with the concept of the YSS and support it.
Okay, Dante, also, if you don't mind staying on camera longer, can you give our viewers an idea of what Mitsubishi has to offer or would like to show to the public during the PIMS, Philippine International Motor Show?
My company has always been trying to project the avant-garde in automotive technology. We will do the same thing in these 6 PIMS. We are presenting our PHEV, or plug-in hybrid, to show to everyone that we are really at that advanced stage of technological advancement. And we will do also the display on certain products that we mass produce in this country. But other than that, we are promoting the parts area, the service area, and we are participating in the PIMS training activities during those events. No? In the motor show period, we will be helping everybody there. So my company will always support PIMS. We believe it's a good way to reach out to the market, and I think we see it as improving our ability to show to the market that you are talking with a mature organization, a mature association concerned with the welfare of everyone.
And for Toyota, Rommel?
Toyota has been a consistent number one. We are looking at the 15th or 14th consecutive Triple Crown. It's really a challenge also to be on top. Of course, during the PIMS will be when we talk of Toyota, we also talk of Lexus. So during the PIMS, we will be showcasing the hybrid vehicles, latest technology of hybrid vehicles, and concept car also will be there also.
Okay, I would like to say thank you very much to our guests this evening who are here to talk about the up-and-coming Philippine International Motor Show, one of the most awaited motor shows in the Philippines, especially because you do it only every 2 years.
Yes.
And this will be held at the World Trade Center from September 14 to
18.
18.
Yes.
For the first time, it's a 5-day affair.
Yes.
Right?
That's
What
correct.
made you decide to make it 5 days?
Well, based on previous experience, we learned that people still look for more days of exhibits by Campi. So we thought of extending it for a day now.
Don't forget September 14 to 18 at the World Trade Center, the Philippine International Motor Show. And again, thank you, Dante, Mr. Dante Santos of Mitsubishi Motors Philippines,
Thank you, Ren.
and Attorney Rommel
Thank you,
Gutierrez
Butch. Yes.
of Toyota and President of Campi. And thank you so much for watching.